So the heart of your, excuse me, underlying energy is the Seven of Cups. This has a lot to do with making decisions, family. Breaking past the smoking mirrors, the Two of Swords, something. Oh, geez, that's interesting. Why is the Two of Swords coming up? The Knight of Wands. Okay, the way they want to, or express their feelings the way they want to. Interesting. I don't typically read the Four of Cups like that, but I feel like somebody's offer is not being seen or it's not truly being extended because, let's be honest, I mean, I think someone is not ready for it. I don't think someone is ready to extend that offer. I think it's there, it's the intention, but the person is completely oblivious to it because it doesn't necessarily exist yet. I don't read the Four of Cups like that. Can I gain the message? But the underlying energy, as you see, is the Emperor, and the focus is about taking action and doing something. I think that's yeah, because I'm thinking because the Four of Cups is like somebody's completely oblivious to this offer here. Somebody's completely oblivious to that the Ace of Cups, and I think it's just because somebody isn't really extending it for them to see something. I think the person is still working on it and all that goodness, but it's like. I think this person, I think somebody around here is like, mm-mm. Somebody's just not really extending the offer for someone to see it purposely. Not purposely, but just, someone's not really there to see it. Now, the Emperor talks about taking action, doing what you want to do, taking action, right? It's ruled by Mars, this card. And it's the card for Aries as well. So you guys could be dealing with an Aries or a Leo or a Virgo or Scorpio, because you got literally 3 signs that are coming up in this reading here. It could be in any order, but I feel like it's definitely having to do with an offer of love. As you've seen, I lifted up the card. You saw the Knight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is showing itself some sort of dissatisfaction, finding what truly makes you happy. But the Emperor is all about business. Let's make this happen. And I feel like for a lot of you guys here, I feel like with the Hermit coming up as the heart of your reading, there has been some period of time where there was a lot of soul searching. There was a lot of, kind of figuring things out on your own, doing some preparation for something. Like that's what I was seeing earlier. The Eight of Wands, Eight of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles. Somebody was working hard for the future, for planning for the future. And I feel like the reason why the Hermit energy is still there is because this person is still in Hermit mode, and it's because what's crossing that was keeping them from going back out to the real world has a lot to do with the releasing of some sort of old issues, old pains, old behaviors, perspective, disappointments, death period energy, right? Death energy is about whatever whatever perspective is no longer being used at your benefit. It's very similar to death, not death, but the devil. But in this perspective, it's like certain boundaries that we may have up, or a certain belief or mindset that we may have that is really not getting us to where we would truly, that we feel we could truly benefit from, if that makes sense, right? So that's why it's asking us to release it, because this is not going to help us. You have to surrender it to death in order for there to be progress. And the more you resist death, the longer the process is going to take. It's not an overnight process. It doesn't happen immediately, but it does begin to, lighten up and show the world, not show the world, but, show a new life coming to fruition when you start to release this energy. And I feel like the Hermit is saying that there's a reason why you were in the Hermit mode, right? Which for good reason, right? It makes sense, right? You had to discover yourself. You had to find whatever answers you needed to find within yourself. It probably has a lot to do with your confidence here. But all of this has to do with, well, let me take a step back. You had to do what you need to do with the Hermit. But staying there too long is not the problem, alright? It's the situation. It's not letting anything go now. Because you go in there to heal, to find yourself, it's a good card. It's a spiritually enlightening card. To use the practices that you've learned along the way. But nobody's letting it go. I don't think no one's letting it go. The process of letting it go is difficult, to put it at the very least. Because in the past year, you're the Six of Wands. You're very proud of the steps you were taking. You're actually very, you're getting recognized. I feel like you definitely were really feeling the pride that you were doing something that you feel really good about, right? You feel really good about the the steps that you're taking to better yourself. And I think that's a great thing. Now, your future, the present is showing strength. So yes, there is a need to be courageous, right? And I feel like you guys are all having to be strong right now, because at this moment you know that it's very, very, very difficult to release things that kept you at least somewhat in your own control, in your own space, all that. Because to think about it, right? Death is a very difficult energy. It's very difficult. Scorpios do this on a daily basis, where we sometimes experience this once a year, whatever, right? But death is something intense, and it does require strength. You guys are being very brave right now, even facing this energy. But the thing is that I feel like it has a lot to do with the test of your own confidence in yourself. That's the kicker, right? Because all of this is about to doing what you want to do, taking action. And I feel like the bravery that you guys are really pulling on at this moment, because you guys are really being brave at this moment, it does really call on testing this confidence in yourself that you've established in the past. This is really putting it to test. And I feel like you feel that. And I really feel like with strength coming up in here in the present like this, you're aware of how much you've been through. You're aware of all the struggles that you've gone through. This is your real test of endurance. But as you go through this energy, I feel like that's why your future looks like the Six of Cups. Not because an ex is coming back. And I think some of you guys, you may, in this action may be to come out and communicate with an ex, maybe. Or this could indicate that you find happiness. Happiness in which that reminds you of a time when you were last happy. Maybe it even connects you with your soulmate, someone from a past life even. Now your goal and ambition is the King of Pentacles, and I feel like you guys really want to feel more confident and feel completely stable, like really stable. And I feel like you want to master that King of Pentacles energy, which is about, knowing that no matter what is around you, your sense of self-worth is more powerful than anything can buy. And I think that's the whole thing. And how to get there is by going the distance, right? By having that patience that's necessary for you to be able to grow, to be able to prosper. The King of Pentacles is very patient. Is very patient. And I think that that's the thing. You have to have patience with yourself and the process. And I think you guys are. I really do. And as long as you have that patience and that stamina and that endurance to keep pushing forward, I don't think you'll be let down. Right? Because I think it's just all in the matter of taking your time and doing what you need to do for yourself. And that does take time. Death is not a fast energy whatsoever. Now it's very interesting for Sag, they got the Five of Swords as well. Right, and that's a really scary energy, usually because it can indicate someone having to take a road in the direction in which they don't necessarily know if it's 100% for them, right? If you get what I'm saying, like they don't know if this is exactly the ideal approach to solving a situation, to solving a problem, or to doing what they want to do, or getting what they want to, getting what they want out of a situation. So this is self-doubt. Just the same as the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is more self-doubt than the Five of Swords, but this is doubting a situation, if a situation is worth the sort of practice that is being asked of the Five of Swords, which is sacrifice. And you have to do that with death anyway. You have to release a certain perspective, release it, let it go, and that releasing and letting it go, that is what processes doubt, which makes you feel like, which really is pulling on your strengths, strengths, right? You have to really be brave with this, because what it's asking you to do is leave something behind that's caused you to go in your hermit mode in the first place. That's a really big step, right? It's really scary because you don't really know, what life will be like without those kinds of, stipulations or sorts of boundaries. But that's why new life is coming. That's why new life is the epitome of this death energy, because you get to create something all from scratch. The King of Pentacles creates stuff, you know. He's a creator. So it's still about knowing that you have everything that you need, the dedication, the focus, the drive to create something new, you know. That is the reinforcement to even help you push forward, to create new boundaries, to not feel like you have to hold on to the old stuff so you can still do what you feel like you could do, because you know it's not the way anymore. Now you're for you. It doesn't resonate with who you are. So the Five of Swords with the death, with strength energy here and death, it's a hard one. It's definitely, I feel like you have to be the person to decide whether it's worth sacrificing this sort of perspective so you can start a new life and begin to stretch your new wings out. Because you've been curing yourself up to be this beautiful butterfly, but you haven't allowed yourself to break out of the cocoon. You've been trying to keep the cocoon up. You got to break out of the cocoon. And the Nine of Swords is your outcome, and I don't think, you know, this is a projected outcome from where you are, very similar to the future, right? And I feel like the worst of the worst could be that you are doing, you know, that you're gonna have the, you know, the outcome that you were afraid of. But let's be honest, nothing actually is happening in this card, right? The Nine of Swords, nothing's happening to this individual but freaking out and having a nightmare. Nothing is actually happening to him at this moment. No one is doing anything to him. But his mind is what's giving him the worst trouble. His mind is his enemy. And I feel like being the master of your own mind is so important at this point. And understanding that situations have every reason to go left field and they have every reason to go right field. They have every opportunity to do those things. It's about taking your time, being optimistic about it. And that's the hard part, being optimistic. Because you've been hit with a lot of disappointing stuff. How do you remain optimistic when you've been disappointed so many times? And it's because you have faith in yourself. That's how. That's why this card to me is the Nine of Swords. How I read it is, yeah, it's worry, it's fear, it's stress, it's anxiety, it's insomnia, but it's also self-doubt. Because if you're worried about a certain outcome approaching, then you're also worried about it not being able to handle it when it comes, because you're thinking about what it could be like living in that situation now when it hasn't even happened. And I see the future for you, how you're projecting it. It's like, yes, the opportunity for something new. And that could be stressful, right? Because you may be stressing out about this again, right? Courage, strength, confidence. You could be stressed out about that. Maybe it's about an ex and where, you know, those old feelings that came up before, right? Could be that. But the only thing that matters is just getting there first. Because right now you got a whole battle right here. That's the part that matters the most. Let's go ahead and pull you guys your romance angels cards for today, okay? For this week, rather. Wow, finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. I was fucking on point when I was saying, y'all, money don't matter. And I think you know that. Like, I feel like that's what you know, you watch these readings to be like, yeah, I know this sometimes. Because you guys are on the later end of the zodiac, and you guys know a lot more than the younger signs, or the signs that are in the earlier versions of the zodiac. Sometimes you do. Sometimes, you're just understanding the flow of life, period, right? Because we may have a lot of earlier signs. But just because, you're a later sign or an earlier sign doesn't mean you don't know anything. There's a certain level of maturity that is applied to all of these things. Now, I was saying earlier is that you don't need financial anything to make you secure, because I feel like, because the King of Pentacles knows no matter what cards he's dealt with, no matter how much he's given, he will make something out of it. He's a creator in his blood, in his mind, in his body. He's not determined by time, by fate, by destiny to do what he wants to do. He's determined by his own will to make something happen. You could be the brokest of the broke, but if you know what you're doing, if you know that you're going to get to a place that's better than where you are, that's more valuable than money itself. Because that is a piece of you, that's a mindset, that's a determination to get yourself through a difficult time. And that fight, that's what's going to get you there. that push, that continuous belief in yourself, like I said, is worth more than diamonds. And I feel like a lot of you guys are aware of that. But that's the thing I was saying, is that you want to be the King of Pentacles, right? Your goal is to be the King of Pentacles, someone that doesn't rely on the physical aspects of their life to get them or to divine them value, but to truly make them feel like they can go somewhere. I feel that's great. Financial issues are never truly an issue. It's what we decide to get in between us and our goal. And it's usually, and I say decision because it gives us that power back, not as a way to blame. It's a way to get our power back. Because if we know we're doing something good, right? If we know that we're doing something, that we can do something different. Just think about it. If we were told that we are putting the oven at 400 degrees to bake cookies, and we needed it to be at 250, which I know that's not the temperature to make cookies, I think, but I'm not a baker, so bakers out there, I apologize. But if you were told that there's a certain thing you need to do differently, don't you think we would do it? Right? So obviously we can't blame ourselves for doing something a certain way that we didn't know otherwise, but we also have the power to change what we're doing to perfect some things that we've been trying to create, trying to make. And that's the very thing that we're doing. So you can't fault yourself for the past. Awesome. Treasure what is yours. Okay, treasure your loved ones. It is important to love others deeply. Treasure your loved ones, guys. Awesome. The King of Pentacles, back to that. He doesn't let finances dictate his value, his worth. He doesn't let it define his life. But he also spends the time that he wants to spend with his family. No matter what, he prioritizes that. He sees real value in that more than anything else. That's what I mean. That makes sense why the Six of Cups is in your future. Because the big thing that you're really looking at is the relationship right now. Getting back to that place where you felt good. And you may not be able to get to that exact future, that exact past, but you can create something, familiar. You can create something even better. But getting back to a feeling that you want to feel, love. That's awesome. That's everything. I'm rooting for you guys. Seriously.